Most people are terrified of being alone, but you're terrified of the moment someone actually stays. You've spent your whole life perfecting the art of being easy to love by making sure you're impossible to truly know. You think you're just independent or low maintenance, but psychology suggests something much darker. Your independence isn't a personality trait. It's a sophisticated defense mechanism built by a child who realized, very early on, that their tears were just loud noises in an empty house. When we talk about childhood trauma, we usually talk about the hits, the screams, and the visible chaos. But there is a quieter, more invisible ghost that haunts the rooms of millions: emotional neglect. It's not what happened to you. It's what didn't happen. It's the praise that never came when you succeeded and the comfort that was absent when you fell. Think about your current life. Do you feel a strange sense of guilt when you're sick, as if you're failing a test by having a body that needs care? When someone does something kind for you, do you immediately look for the price tag? This is the psychological invisible wall. You've learned to treat your emotions like radioactive waste, something to be contained, buried, and kept away from others so it doesn't contaminate the relationship. You aren't being strong, you're being a ghost in your own home. You watch others from a distance, wondering why intimacy seems so natural for them and so threatening for you. You struggle to make simple decisions, like what to eat for dinner, because your internal compass was never calibrated by someone else's attention. But you need to understand the adaptive logic of your brain. Imagine a child in a room where the light switch doesn't work. They flip it once, twice, 10 times, and eventually they stop. They learn to see in the dark. Your hyper-independence was your way of seeing in the dark. If you didn't ask for help, you couldn't be disappointed. If you didn't show pain, you couldn't be ignored. You didn't become low maintenance because you wanted to. You did it because it was the only way to survive a family dynamic where needs were seen as demands. You aren't broken. You are a high-performance machine that was forced to run on empty for so long that you forgot what fuel even looks like. Biologically, your brain's safety circuit is never fully closed. Usually, when a child is held, the brain releases oxytocin, which tells the amygdala to calm down. But if that emotional mirroring is missing, the brain stays in a state of low-level threat. Think of your emotional system like a broken thermostat calibrated in a blizzard. Now, when someone shows you warmth, your brain doesn't register it as love. It registers it as a system malfunction. You feel itchy and want to run because your brain literally doesn't have the hardware to process warmth without feeling like it's burning. This is the fear of positive effect in personality theory, where your nervous system views joy as a trap because, in your past, joy was usually followed by a sudden drop back into silence. You might find yourself overachieving or becoming a perfectionist, not because you love the work, but because doing is the only way you feel you have a right to exist. If you aren't being useful, you feel invisible. But the doing is just a mask for the being that was never validated. Healing isn't about a positive mindset. It's about somatic re-education. It starts with a feelings audit, noticing where your chest is tight or your jaw is clenched, forcing your brain to acknowledge your internal state. This works because it targets the insular cortex, the part of the brain responsible for interoception, the ability to feel what is happening inside you. In neglect, this part of the brain often goes quiet to protect you from the pain of unmet needs. By noticing a tight shoulder, you are slowly waking it up. Then, you must try the minor inconvenience test by asking someone for something you could easily do yourself. Ask a friend to pick up a coffee or ask your partner to grab you a glass of water. Why? Because your brain needs to see that needing doesn't lead to rejection. You are training your ventral striatum, the brain's reward center, to associate dependency with safety rather than debt. You must also name the protector, that cold voice telling you to shut down and stay silent. That's not you. That's a 7-year-old version of you trying to keep you safe from a parent who couldn't handle your feelings. Acknowledge that voice, but tell it you aren't in that house anymore. This is a concept from internal family systems therapy, where we realize our bad habits are actually just parts of us that are stuck in a different time. By separating your identity from the protector, you create the cognitive space needed to choose a new reaction. Finally, practice selective vulnerability, sharing one small, true thing about your day that isn't a joke or a performance. Why? Because the prefrontal cortex needs to learn that intimacy is a gradual build, not an all-or-nothing explosion. For example, tell a friend you had a stressful morning instead of saying, "I'm fine." It feels like a risk, but it's actually an investment in your brain's social circuitry. Think of your life as an abandoned garden. For years, you've looked at the dry soil and thought nothing grows here. But the land isn't dead. It was just never watered. You've been trying to grow flowers in a drought and blaming the flowers for wilting. You are the one with the watering can now. You no longer have to wait for someone else to notice you're thirsty. The habits that saved you as a child, the silence, the self-reliance, the emotional containment are the very things that are starving you as an adult. The hardest part of healing is realizing that you are worthy of care simply because you exist, not because of what you can do or how little you can require. You've spent your life being a pillar for everyone else. It's okay to let the pillar lean. To the right people, your needs aren't a weight. They are a map showing them exactly how to love you. Stop being so easy to leave. Start being real enough to stay. Because you aren't a ghost anymore. You're finally home. The quiet that used to feel like abandonment can now become a space where you finally listen to yourself. You are no longer the child waiting in the hallway for a door to open. You are the one who holds the key. Take a breath. Notice your feet on the floor. You are here. You are seen. And for the first time in a long time, that is enough.